tenuous conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh, you're saying against Shali. This is AJ of the InfoWars. Listen to the Shaliak. This is Alex Jones of InfoWars. Listen to Shaliak on the Cold Reality News and Report.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there!
This week on Cold Reality Radio. This is a dangerous Iranian escalation. Bahrain blames pipeline explosion on Iran and terrorists. Bill Gates buys big chunk of land in Arizona to build a smart city. Spanish government blames Russian disinformation campaign for Catalan uprising. Trump points to falsehoods in Russian hacking claims. Media still ignores them. Corey Feldman names molesters. Fears Hollywood A-listers may kill him. Hundreds of thousands take to Barcelona streets demanding release of jailed leaders. Air traffic controller busted with a weapon of mass destruction. Donna Brazile goes on Tucker Carlson to blame Wasserman Schultz for blocking FBI investigation into DNC servers. CIA tried to kill Fidel Castro with poison pen on day of JFK's assassination. Trump in the Philippines amid ISIS threat. Judge Moore under siege. Won't deny kissing teens. Common knowledge that he dated high school girls. Got permission. Lashes out at Washington Post. SNL paints Democrats as out of touch, elderly losers. NASA to test space lasers with latest launch. Legionnaires outbreak in Disneyland. That and more on today's edition of Cold Reality Radio here on the UCY.TV Broadcasting Network. I am the Shali Lama. I will be here for the next hour and 40 minutes or so. Sunday, November 12th, we're going to look back very soon from 2018 and say, where the hell did 2017 go? We're going to ask that question. Where did 2017 go? It went so fast, I don't know. We're in 2018 now. Where did 2017 go? 2017, it was obscene. So that's what we're going to say. Where the fuck did 2017 go? And it's going to be like a shot in the dark. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? A lot of insanity going on. Apparently the New World Order and its failures in Yemen and Lebanon and Syria, with Syria recapturing Deir ez-Zor and many other locations that were saturated with the banker proxy armies that where I mean it's obvious, it's so obvious, but still large percentages of mostly Americans, mostly the ignorance of the Americans. If you ask them on the street, do you believe that this is these people that have been doing this, the cutting off of the heads, which I don't think that we ever really saw. And even if you see things in the movies, it looks so real, like, wow, that looks so real. That's all in the production here. All of that is in the production of this bullshit proxy army known as Islamic State. And so what happens when if you're a piece of fucking garbage trash among other pieces of garbage fucking trash, when you lose? And is this really? Are they really losing, or is this what needs to happen to get us into this World War III, to get us deeper into this world war that has already started? It's already started. Okay. And it's all about this section of the world that needs to be dominated. And you've got Trump over there visiting South Korea. He's in the Philippines now. He's been hanging out with he was even hanging out briefly with Vladimir Putin, and they again decided that they're going to combine strength on Islamic State, on ISIS in Syria. So I just can't help but think, we see all these things happening, and nothing's ever what it looks like in face value. Okay. Do they both know? Does Trump and Vladimir Putin know that they are part of a huge chessboard, a grand chessboard like Brzezinski wrote about, Do they realize that they're part of this? And I have to say that I think that they do. The movement, and yet you look at Russia, and on a side, not even really a side note, a very important note, RT America is by Monday supposed to register as a foreign entity. I believe that's what is needed, what has been asked of them to do by Monday. And let's see, what is it, 10:30? They usually do news on the hour over there. It's funny that I can't find this, but they are. Anyway, let's just read some of the headlines here. We're on ISIS cost Iraq over $100 billion. Mi-17 Army helicopter crashes in eastern Iraq, 7 crew members killed. Sino-Russia trade will hit $100 billion in near future, says Putin. Lebanese president says situation surrounding al-Hari mysterious. Asked Riyadh to elaborate on that. Several killed in U.S. airstrikes on al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. Meanwhile, apparently there's some kind of plague of some sort over there that I think that biological warfare is being used to wipe out large portions of possibly the young people over there, so Africa can be dominated. That could be the case. Or we've got a brand new global plague that we will be hearing about soon, and that there'll be vaccines being worked on, but then there's not this, there's not that. You see Time magazine over the last 6 months, we're not ready for the next pandemic, shit like that. You really, really need to understand the level of what these people, these criminal, evil, devil worshippers are capable of doing. They're killing children. They're killing women and children. And they killed women and children in Libya. Killed women and children in Iraq, and I'm not talking about Islamic State and terrorists. Okay, talking about the real terrorists, the banking families that run NATO, all these people that are supposedly fighting, to clear the world of evil. Those are the evil people we're talking about. So they, not only that, in Iraq, the burn pits. Chuck O'Celli interviewed the guy who wrote the book, The Burn Pits, or The Burn Pits, documentary on RT today. Delayed, denied, hope you die. That's the name of the documentary, where thousands of Iraqi war veterans and contractors are now very, very sick. This 27-year-old kid is, they showed a picture of him, healthy looking, kind of like a Hispanic guy, because that's what that's the demographic largely that the U.S. military goes after, to offer them, an education and a life of prestige. as a soldier, and then they send you over there, and then there's burn pits of all different chemicals, all types of toxins, all types of incredibly deadly things in and of themselves, and then you set them on fire in these burn pits, and these people are now coming home, and they're just like Gulf War syndrome, like so many other illnesses that we're supposed to be supporting the troops now. Okay, when it comes to war, the media will be like, support the troops. But when they come home sick and they're like, I've got cancer, or I got this, or I got that, or I can't breathe, or I can't, then they're like, well, we don't know what it is. They're directed to not. I mean, this system it's premeditated. All of this shit is premeditated, and they do not address something. They will not acknowledge something that the people in the documentary said would cost billions of dollars. There's billions of dollars, or what was it, $6 trillion on the war on terror so far. But we don't have billions of dollars to take care of these veterans, because ultimately they don't want these people to live. They don't want these soldiers and these people that they have trained to be killers, to be lethal weapons. They do not want them to live. They don't. Because sooner or later it's going to be abundantly clear. It's going to be abundantly clear that they were sent over there to as part of a global restructuring that had nothing to do with freeing the Iraqi people, freeing the people of Libya, freeing the people of these dictators that the U.S. and the West put in place. It's going to be abundantly clear, and those killers, those soldiers and veterans, and essentially, husbands and fathers, and have been trained to be killers. So then they will move towards acting against this government when economically, of course, financially, and in every aspect of Western civilization starts to break down, because that's what we're moving towards. The people are being weaponized. The college students are being weaponized against Trump, and you go back, or I go back to when I was in my 20s. I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't even political. I just, again, not part of the collective, more of an observer to what was going on. I participated in different things with relatively just small, groups of people, and never really truly, as I said, a part of the collective where, I got involved in too much of this this stage where people have been designed to behave and react because this is what is. You're born, you go to school, and those schools, unfortunately, are not there to make you, anything unique. They're not there to make you anything to specialize. You're created to specialize in their system, whether it be their deadly medical system, the deceptive, devilish legal system that Clint's gone over in details. They shoot up the soldiers with deadly vaccines. They test vaccines on people. And then unleash, and then I mean they commit suicide like every. I mean they're committing soldiers, U.S. servicemen are committing suicide in incredible numbers, and this is I've been hearing this and hearing this and hearing this for the last at least 7 or 8 years. That soldiers are just killing themselves. The reason why they're doing this is because they're being injected with poison, and then they're being given antidepressants because the true state of our global civilization is perpetual debt, perpetual war. Like Payday says, perpetual debt, perpetual war. And these people are over there every day. One of the contractors from KBR, and they showed a commercial about it. Our first our business plan, what we do, what we are is protect the troops, support the troops with burn pits. The guy says, I fully expected and realized that I could be shot, taken prisoner, killed by an enemy. But in no way did I think that I was going to be poisoned by my own side, by my own people, the people that hired my country. In no way, shape, or form did I think that I was going to be poisoned. And this guy had some kind of sphenoid or sinus tumor in his behind his nose from breathing in these toxins. And when I heard about the burn pits, I was like, whoa. Not surprising, but yet just another hard piece of evidence that shows that they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. They're not supporting the troops. They want the collective to support the troops, but they're killing them. And it never gets reported. The burn pits, again, when I heard about them, not much longer after that, I'm tuning into Ocelli over at Ocelli.com, where you can hear a rebroadcast of Cold Reality Radio. And Chuck is interviewing the gentleman who wrote the book, The Burn Pits, and exposed the burn pits. And largely nothing is being reported. Nothing's Joseph Hickman. And let's see here, burn pits documentary. Let's see if we can find that. There's any number. Just type in open air burn pits. Let's play this. We'll play this little clip here.
We should be more responsible with these guys because they have already put their lives on the line for us. Why would we not give them the proper medical attention that they need? Why give them an appointment 3 months out and then send it, prolong it even more to maybe
this guy can't even talk
8 months, 9 months, a year, and then even fighting for their benefits, getting them to see that he was a healthy guy when he got back. He was a healthy guy while he was out there. But then you want to say, oh no, if they don't see symptoms within the first 12 months of them coming back and he doesn't get a diagnosis, forget it, they're screwed. because they don't see it as it's service related, service connected.
And they show you pictures of him when he was healthy, and then you see
Minnesota
pictures.
mother died from a cancer she believed was linked to her time serving our country.
Amy Muller served 2 tours in Iraq with the Minnesota Air National Guard. During that time, she was exposed to toxic burn pits where the military burned waste like chemicals, munitions, and petroleum. WCCO's Jennifer Merrily spoke to Muller's husband about a vibrant life taken too soon.
Present arms!
Amy Muller lived a courageous life full of service and sacrifice. The 36-year-old married mother of 3 died February 18th after bravely battling pancreatic cancer.
Jace keeps saying to me every night, I wish we could have a second chance to save Mommy. And, he wants to fly to heaven in his Batman cape and bring her back.
Brian calls Amy an incredibly loving mother. Caden, Jace, and Emmy Lou were her world.
Well, you want more than that?
Her gifts extended well beyond her family. She was someone who could make everyone feel important, and so many called her their best friend.
She always, no matter what, made people feel like they were the only person in the room.
She did that while serving our country, originally with the Air Force and then with the Air National Guard.
When you think about people that serve our country, you think about somebody that believes in America and believes in
stop believing in it.
She was one of those people.
Stop believing in it.
During her 18 years in the military, Amy was a military photojournalist, often documenting a fallen soldier's funeral. She spearheaded a program to create video and pictures for families who lost a loved one. And she designed the Gold Star Memorial license plate to commemorate Minnesota's fallen heroes.
When you have a servant's heart, you have a servant's heart. She just always wanted to do something more.
Last April, doctors diagnosed Amy with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. She approached treatment like everything else in her life, with bravery and courage.
We did the best we could. We fought with one of the most aggressive chemo regimens you can have.
In February, the time doctors believed she had left went from months to weeks to mere days.
We just weren't ready. We were ready. We were going to make videos for the kids. But she kept fighting.
The Mullers believe Amy's diagnosis is linked to her time in the Air National Guard. She did 2 tours in Iraq in 2005 and 2007. And during that time was exposed to toxic burn pits, where it's documented that chemicals, paint, aluminum cans, munitions, petroleum, among other things, were constantly burned.
And environmental, that's the biggest cause of cancer. So there's no question that a 36-year-old with pancreatic cancer with no history.
If it wasn't the burn pits, it was the vaccine she got as a soldier.
Had to be related.
During her journey, Amy had the strength to stand up for veterans who were also exposed. She worried the answers will come too late for many.
My dedication to her is to continue to honor that and keep that story alive and make sure that veterans get taken care of.
Hey!
His dedication to her will...
There's another one.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Kepner. I am 39 years old. I am a mother of 2 beautiful children, a 2-year-old Wyatt, and my daughter is 9. Her name is Adia. And last year I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Hard to believe that in just a year I've lost my ability to work. I was an X-ray tech at Desert Regional. I was a CrossFit coach, and I lived a very healthy lifestyle, and I had just given birth to my baby boy. It had been about a year after I had him that I got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I had the surgery, and as it is pancreatic cancer, your 5-year survival rate is only 3%. But I was living on that 3%. And then I started chemo and was doing chemo. And February of this year, when I finished my chemo, we did another scan to see how the chemo was working. And the pancreatic cancer had metastasized to the liver. And there's now over 20 lesions on my liver. So every day I'm living with cancer, fighting. But with that, my quality of life, I've been on chemo now since last September, and it's definitely taking a toll on me physically, mentally. I spend 10 out of 14 days sick in bed, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, headache, backache is very severe backache from the tumor infiltrating nerves. It's very debilitating, actually. I can't leave my house for more than 2 hours because I get too tired to do anything. So, anyway, I'm not a candidate for pancreatic cancer. I have no family history. All my genetic markings came back negative. And it's related to this Iraq-Afghanistan Agent Orange. That was my only exposure. That's the only cause of why I am battling this type of cancer.
Now, most of these other veterans are experiencing respiratory things like that. And so if she was exposed to these burn pits and she wasn't exposed that much, and the bottom line is that the VA is denying her care, denying her any kind of benefits or anything like that to be able to help her. And so whether it was the vaccines or the burn pits, these people are being murdered. They're being murdered. Contractors are being murdered by the United States government. And just like Gulf War, sickness, syndrome, whatever caused that, it was something that was done to these veterans, right? Something that was done to them, whether it be vaccinating them or just the air being so toxic from all these chemicals being burned that the body just can't handle all those toxins, and then it just fucks your insides up. So there's incredible information in there. Here's
Leroy
CBS
Torres
News.
was a Texas state trooper and a captain in the Army Reserves when he deployed for a year-long combat tour to Iraq in 2007.
The minute he got back, he was hospitalized. Right when he got back, it was like, okay, it's Iraqi crud. That's what we kept hearing. After a few weeks, he started having these breathing attacks, and it was the scariest moment ever for us.
Leroy's wife, Rosie, says her husband's health issues resulted from exposure to open-air burn pits, which the U.S. military used in Iraq and Afghanistan to torch everything from batteries to body parts. The Department of Veterans Affairs acknowledged Balad, where Torres was based, disposed of several hundred tons per day.
It was very close to the burn pits, at least where I was housed at. But we didn't think nothing of it.
Today, at age 40, Leroy is barely able to leave bed most days. His doctors have diagnosed him with a lung disease, constrictive bronchiolitis. He has a lesion on his brain and cysts in his spleen and groin.
Sometimes the headaches will last a few hours. Sometimes I've had a headache for 8 days. 8 days straight. It's just...
See, so what's happening here is, now I did mention that, or I did say that there was no reporting on the news about this, but it gets to the point, and even I was wrong, it gets to the point where they have to acknowledge this. And yet another thing now, right, that's going to be used to say the system's been overwhelmed, and another reason for a crash of the economy. This is going to be used as another excuse as that.
Unexplainable.
I remember one night thinking, who am I holding? Like, what happened to the man that I married? It was at that moment that I thought, this is it. I'm going to have to be his advocate.
Rosie launched a website where those exposed to burn pits can register. She also lobbied Congress to take action. In January, President Obama signed a law giving the Secretary of Veterans Affairs 1 year to create a national registry to track potential burn pit victims.
If it wasn't for Rosie Torres, would this law be in existence?
I don't think so.
Dr. Anthony Sima is a professor at Stony Brook University School of Medicine. He's been analyzing dust from near burn pits.
How toxic is that dust? This dust is very toxic.
He says 14% of veterans he's studied return with some sort of lung complication.
I think clearly we don't allow people to burn things in an unregulated fashion in the United States, and we have EPA limits against the number of particles in the air.
So they shouldn't be doing it over there?
They should not be doing it over there.
As Leroy's condition worsens, he may not benefit from the new law. His dream job is gone already.
It ended his career as a trooper.
Never go back.
No. Sorry.
The National Registry of Burn Pit Victims won't be out until at least 2014. In the meantime, doctors are relying on Rosie's unofficial registry. Her information, her continuing search for answers. Jeff Glore, CBS News, Robstown, Texas.
So, I mean, this information has been out for a while. And then, of course, the book on the burn pits from what's his name? Shit. I forgot his name. The burn pits. You can find the book. Let's see here. It's Joseph Hickman and the poisoning of American soldiers, the burn pits. And this is just, this is only one thing that they do. One thing, which is one of the most awful things. Depleted uranium is another. The vaccines are another. And it's just getting to a point, man, where that all this stuff is just going to come to a head. And it's just going to destroy this. Everything that all these commoners know and love is going away. America is doomed. So if you don't, you know what I mean? If you're too sensitive to hear that everything that you have, your job, your vacations every year, all that stuff's going away. Okay? It was never meant to last this long. It will last as long and as they decide it will last. These elites, the bankers that make the money off of the corporations like KBR, It will last as long as they allow it to last, and no more. And then everything will crumble. Divide and conquer is being used already. We know that. Trump's election. The Democratic Party's falling apart. The Republican Party's falling apart. Trump's made enemies in his own party and, of course, with the Democrats. And so he's lame duck already. So if he had any chance of being someone who is going to really, really make America great again, he's really, we go to war with Iran, okay? That's going to be another. That's going to be another, game killer, world killer. But not for the elites. No, they're all bunkered down. They're all there's a lot of people that are moving. There's a lot of people that are very wealthy, are moving to certain areas of the world where none of this stuff's going to happen. There's not going to be any conflict. And after they've turned the world into a fucking fiery cesspool where it's just one big friggin' burn pit, they will be they will emerge after most of the world is just been fucking demolished, and then they'll be like, well, no more. We don't have to deal with this group of people or that group of people anymore. This is all ours, and now we can merge with the machines, like that Facebook douchebag this week said. Let's see if I can find that. A family member told me about something that anyway, some guy who basically said he worked for Facebook, and he was just like, I don't care about any of you people. But I mean, this is exactly the type of world, the kind of world that they want, that they've designed. It's their creation. Gone over this many, many times with Clint. There is no taking back what really doesn't belong to you. These patriots. It's just a big joke. It's just a divide and conquer strategy. The InfoWars business plan is to make money by telling you that if you fight the New World Order, you're a patriot. Jones is part of that family. He is part of the bloodlines of the Illuminati, whatever the case is. More just esoteric bullshit. But he's making money while other people think they are moving in the right direction, that they're going to save the republic, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do that. They're going to take America back. They're going to take America back. And guess what? You're not taking back what doesn't belong to you in the first place. You've been swindled. Your parents' parents swindled by a system of debt and a system of death and a system of wars that make money and commerce. And what do they do with what's left over? They burn it all. So they're turning the entire world into a fucking burn pit. And everybody just sits back and thinks, this is great. We all have a future. I'm going to school. I'm doing this. They ask a lot of these college graduates, or ask them. Unless you're in technology and computers and things like that, there's not a whole lot of jobs out there for people. Not a lot of jobs out there for people. So it's just more bullshit to get people to buy into the system and then say, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, that train left already. Sorry." That train left already. What's going on up there? Dangerous Iranian escalation from Zero Hedge. There was something odd about Friday night's explosion of an oil pipeline belonging to Bahrain's state-run oil company, Bapco, which local authorities initially said was the result of an accident. As we said, or Zero Hedge, the giant fireball had the hallmark of either sabotage or a terrorist event. The only question is whether it was real or staged, and who would ultimately be blamed. One thing that needs to be really, really on the minds of people who drive cars is that these kind of conflicts are going to make the price of oil go up. And you and me and all the other commoners are going to be paying incredible sums of money for gasoline. That is going to fuck the economy up. Big time. We didn't have long to wait for the answer. On Saturday, Bahrain government claimed the blast was a terrorist act directed by Iran. In a statement on Twitter, the Bahrain Minister of Interior said that evidence gathered by the inspection team confirms that this was an intentional act undertaken by terrorists intending to undermine the security of the kingdom. With Bahrain's Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa. God, man, names. Adding that the blast was the latest example of a terrorist act performed by terrorists in direct contact with and under instruction from Iran. So there you go. Bahrain is lying, most likely lying, and this is just going to be really, really bad for the U.S. economy. Bill Gates is buying big chunks of land, but he's starting with a chunk first in Arizona to build a smart city, and this is from KGW. One of Bill Gates' investment firms has spent $80 million to kickstart the development of a brand new community in the Far West Valley. All right, Westworld. The large plot of land is about 45 minutes west of downtown Phoenix, off of I-10 near Tonopah. The proposed community, made up of close to 25,000 acres of land, is called Belmont, According to Belmont Partners, a real estate investment group based in Arizona, the goal is to turn the land into its own smart city. Belmont will create a forward-thinking community with a communication and infrastructure spine that embraces cutting-edge technology designed around high-speed digital networks, data centers, new manufacturing technologies, and distribution models, autonomous vehicles, autonomous logistic hubs, Belmont Partners said in this new release. Ronald Schott, executive emeritus at the Arizona Technology Council, says the land Gates company purchased is a good spot, in part due to the proposed I-11 freeway, which would run right through Belmont and connect right to Las Vegas. Bill Gates is known for innovation, killing people with vaccines, and those kind of things. And I think he picked the right place. He's coming to Arizona, said Schott. So there you go. The smart city is probably tied into the Utah NSA hub, and it will run from there. Interesting. Spanish government blames Russia for disinformation campaign for the Catalan uprising. From Zero Hedge as well. Not the Onion, right? It says blame the Russians, right? In what perhaps the least surprising tactic from the Spanish establishment, a government-backed research institute in Madrid has stated that Spain's struggle to squash separatism in its Catalonian region was disrupted by Russian hackers agitating for a breakup in a hallmark propaganda effort to fracture Europe. As Bloomberg reports, the unidentified Russians spread both true and false messages on Facebook and Twitter during the illegal separatist referendum on October 1st, according to Mira Milisovic, a senior analyst at the Elcano Royal Institute. A disinformation campaign deployed trolls, bots, and fake accounts, and was backed by. They're saying the same thing. This is a continuity of agenda. They're saying the same things that the government, this illegitimate bag of shit government, is doing here. It can't just be that people want to stop being screwed over by elite taxation and filth that probably needs to be put down. So there you go. You've got Spain embarking on the same bullshit that the American media and government are talking about. Trump points to falsehoods in Russian hacking claims. Media still ignore them. Mood of Alabama is the source. During the flight of his recent Asian tour, the U.S. President Trump held a press gaggle on board the plane. Part of it were questions and answers about the alleged Russian hacking of the U.S. election. There's no public transcript yet, right? So, still talking about it and asking questions about this bullshit. Corey Feldman names molesters, fears Hollywood A-listers will kill him. Ex-child star has long maintained that the pedophiles in Hollywood are everywhere, like vultures, and says he himself was molested by them in the 80s. Now he has finally named two of the alleged culprits. He also says that there's a certain powerful A-lister who, behaving like a mafia don, threatens the lives of those who will dare to mention. see, threaten the lives of those who would talk about it. This is the New American. Feldman, 46, who starred in blah, 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 has long said that he'd love to name the Hollywood pedophiles, but the California's statute of limitations would cause him and not the perpetrators to land in legal trouble. As to this, Feldman filed a formal sit-down report Monday with LAPD, but on Thursday it announced it was not investigating the allegations precisely because the statute of limitations had expired. The actor responded to the news on Twitter. Corey Feldman tweet. Yet Feldman could expose two of his abusers. On the 30th edition of the Today Show, the actor named child talent manager Marty Weiss. In a November 2nd appearance on The Oz Show, John Grissom was outed, a former assistant and co-star. These two men were no doubt safe to identify because they've already been convicted of child sex abuse. Weiss was featured in the Hollywood Pedestry document An Open Secret, which can be viewed on Vimeo, is it? The link is here. You can Open Secret, you can watch that. It's probably a Vimeo video. I heard that this week on or is it on YouTube or both or whatever. So An Open Secret must-watch documentary on Hollywood's casting couch for kids. All right, let's see. Caught on audio admitting to molesting one of his 12-year-old clients. He pled guilty to 2 charges of oral copulation with a child under the age of 14. For this, he served 6 months in jail. Grissom was arrested in 2001 for lewd and lascivious acts with a minor, for which he served an unknown amount of prison time in 2003. He had bit parts in only 2 films, both with Feldman, License to Drive and Dream a Little Dream. Feldman wrote in his 2013 book Choreography that Grissom, whom he had then identified with the pseudonym Ron Crimson, groomed him with cocaine and crack. So there's that. Of course, hundreds of thousands take to Barcelona streets demanding release of jailed leaders. Some 750,000 Catalans. Massive protest. Air traffic controller busted with weapon of mass destruction. Again, Zero Hedge here says that as if we need another reason to fear air travel, authorities in North Carolina say an air traffic controller at an airport in the state has been arrested on charges of possessing a weapon of mass destruction. Local media outlets report that the FBI says 30-year-old Paul George Dandon was arrested Friday in Charlotte. The FBI is assisting Charlotte Mecklenburg police with the investigation, but somehow federal charges aren't expected against Dandon at this point. CNN reported that the police received a 911 call last week that someone had a homemade explosive at a Charlotte home. When officers arrived, they found a homemade pipe bomb. The authorities didn't confirm if this was the weapon. Investigators said another man, 39-year-old Derek Fells, built the bomb to use it against a neighbor with whom he was involved in an ongoing dispute. From the Duran, Donna Brazil goes on Tucker Carlson to blame Wasserman Schultz for blocking the FBI investigation into the DNC servers. Is this gonna come clean here. So all the collusion that the Democrats and the Clintons have been involved in with Russia, regarding Russia, directly with Russia, nobody's even really talking about that. Because that's fake news now, right? Because it doesn't fit the narrative, they got to keep going. What is this? Donna Brazil says the book tells some hard truths. She gave Hillary debate questions. She has no ethics, no brains, and is driven by greed. She is trying to set herself up to be the undisputed leader of the worthless Democratic Party. It's a power play, nothing more. Please stop treating this creature like she is some kind of freedom fighter. She is a typical hardcore leftist fraud and nothing more. In the first part of Carlson's interview with Brazil, the former interim DNC chair addressed claims that the DNC slanted the nomination in favor of Hillary over Sanders and dysfunction in the Hillary campaign. For the sake of Allah, Swedish radio station hijacked to play ISIS recruiting songs. Things are escalating quickly. Another story here. Israel will not let this happen. Iran is reportedly building a military base in Syria. Lebanon believes Saad al-Hari is held in Saudi Arabia, from where he resigned as prime minister. Two top Lebanese government officials said amid a deepening crisis pushing Lebanon onto the front lines of a power struggle between Saudi Arabia and Iran. A third source, senior politician close to Saudi allied Hari, said Saudi Arabia had ordered him to resign and put him under house arrest. The fourth source familiar with the situation said Saudi Arabia was controlling and limiting his movement. There's something really, really weird going on over there. But ultimately, it seems like they are losing control over, like they're not winning, they're not moving forward in the way that they would hope, with a lot of people, I guess, fighting back. Russia helping Syria. But it really, really does look like they don't have what they need to be able to. They don't have what they need to be able to take over Syria and a number of these other locations they're losing. So now they have to escalate things to another level, which means beating the war drums. And distracting And it's amazing that, Iran can't build a military base anywhere without Israel saying that they're not going to allow it to happen. Busted. Watch Los Angeles cops plant drugs in black suspect's wallet, unaware their body cameras were on. Louis C.K. says these stories are true. That he admitted today that he masturbated in front of women. That's just outrageous that people will, just totally just go apeshit crazy and do something that they know is going to get them in some shit. Of course, the Purge, Saudi deep state, Prince Bandar, among those arrested. Podesta Group CEO unexpectedly quits just days after Tony's departure. Saudi Arabia, this liberal reformer is an impulsive tyrant. It is becoming more difficult to hide the mess the Saudi clown Prince Mohammed bin Salman creates. The propaganda about the liberal reformer is too inconsistent with his obviously tyrannical behavior. The clown, not the crown prince, but the clown prince. Let's see who's writing this. Moon of Alabama. Odd name. The clown prince of Saudi Barbaria practically abducted the prime minister of Lebanon, blackmailed him to resign, and holds him since then under house arrest. This is an unprecedented attack of the sovereignty of Lebanon and other countries. Yet the U.S. and some European leaders cowardly pretend that Saad Hari is free to go where he wants. We'll see what's going on there. National Guard and law enforcement use secret planes to spy on our cell phones. Recent article in the Texas Observer revealed that the National Guard is using multi-protocol scanners and receivers to spy on everyone. The National Guard and the DEA recently purchased 2 DRT 1301C portable receiver systems from Digital Receiver Technology, DRT, that's in Inc. These dirt boxes allow the National Guard and DEA to secretly listen to 10,000 cell phones at once. Conspiracy theory, now conspiracy fact, as Congress holds hearings on weather manipulation. Geoengineering is finally going mainstream at the U.S. House Subcommittee on Environment and Subcommittee on Energy hearing on Wednesday, held the first House hearing about the science that until now has generally been considered a conspiracy theory and relegated to the fringes of society by the Praetorian Guard mainstream media. controlled by the ruling power elite oligarchy. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett have more money than the poorest 50% of the U.S. population combined. They're calling for, there are some organizations calling to rein this in, rein this shit in. Stop them. Is it Michael Snyder? The problem is not that we have few people that are rich. The problem is that we have so many that are poor, which is part of a system that designs that system to do just that. Excuse me. As you will see, 3 extremely wealthy individuals have as much money as the poorest half of the nation combined. In a free market capitalist society, there are always going to be some that do better than others, and there is nothing wrong with that. But in our society today, there are so few that are doing well. At this point, a majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and 1 in 5 households has 0 or negative net worth. So that article's over Blacklisted News. It's been out all week about that. Saudi billionaires scramble to move cash offshore, escape asset freeze. Monsanto in court again as powerful new herbicide accidentally kills 3.6 million acres of crops. It's not an accident. There will be a food crisis very, very soon. Monsanto thought they had developed an amazing scheme to corner the Midwest farming market when they developed new genetically engineered seeds that were resistant to their new herbicide called dicamba. And if you watch America's Lawyer on RT America, this is a huge case, this dicamba, and Monsanto's, dare I say, they're in big trouble. The resistance of Monsanto's new magical seed crops to dicamba meant that the herbicide could be sprayed liberally by farmers to eradicate weeds and boost yields. They're just going to keep creating poison and putting it in the environment. Mass shootings, mass psychology, and self-defense. There is an unfortunate correlation between crisis and catastrophes and mass psychology. For those with a decent long-term memory, you may have noticed that the frequency of attacks and tragedies taking place today around the world is far above and beyond what occurred 10 years ago. So much so that many in the political or many in the public have moved beyond the point of outrage and now have embraced complacency. And Clint kind of put things in perspective when he wrote his blog article that said the importance of these types of events in peacetime in different different levels of peace. I guess different we are at war constantly, it seems, but yeah, it'll become the norm, and people will start questioning why. I mean, like this guy, who goes down to the Baptist church and then just kind of opens fire on all these people. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know whether he had any ties to the church or if anybody really knew who he was prior to. Prior to the shooting. This may be the least suspect one. We know that there are videos of the Vegas shooting that have been given to the authorities, and they've yet to comment or do anything with these videos. So it just continues. It's just a nightmare. Rutgers hires a war crime apologist to teach international law. Rutgers University has hired a former spokesperson for for Syrian President Bashar Assad to teach courses on international criminal law during his tenure with the Assad regime. Who wrote this article? Campus reform. Let's see. During his tenure with the Assad regime, acted as an apologist for the mass murder committed by the Assad regime against his own people. There were no fucking mass murders. It's such bullshit. Let me see here. U.S. should deport Rutgers professor who represented Syria, abetted genocide. Yeah, they want to be able to get rid of this guy so that he can't tell the truth about what's really going on over there. Never forget, the U.S. government carried out the largest church massacre 24 years ago in Texas. The mainstream media has completely forgotten about the deadliest church massacre in history, the one the U.S. government carried out in Waco, Texas. But that was okay because the guy in the house was bad, right? Sadly, there have been many deadly massacres which take place inside places of worship, from the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing to the Charleston Church shooting in Sutherland Springs. Over the years, psychotic terrorists have gone into churches and indiscriminately taken innocent lives. Now, some of those in the mainstream media are calling Sutherland Springs the deadly massacre in a church, in the deadliest massacre in a church in the U.S. in U.S. history. However, the actual largest church massacre in history had a far greater death toll, and that was 82 men and women and children. All right, the U.S. government carried out the deadliest church massacre in history, and it led to, as said previously, 82 men, women, and children being killed. It all came to a violent end 24 years ago in Texas. One source material comes from the FBI's own vault, which contains 2 files on the case against Vernon Howell, also known as David Koresh. Koresh was the leader of the Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventist. According to the FBI case file, Koresh was believed to have been holding people against their will at his compound in Waco, Texas, potentially guilty of involuntary servitude and slavery charges. In 1992, Child Protective Services was called in to investigate the accusations. All right. After a thorough investigation, CPS concluded no one was being held at the compound against their will, nor any child abuse, and the federal prosecutor who reviewed the report said there's no reason to prosecute Koresh. On October 16, 1992, the FBI closed the case against Koresh and the allegations he was abusing children and holding his followers against their will. Still, however, the FBI proceeded with investigating other allegations. The Branch Davidians had converted semi-automatic AR-15 assault rifles into fully automatic ones, a violation of federal law. Also alleged the group was planning a mass suicide, right? Like the CIA operation in Guyana with Jim Jones. Again, despite having no concrete evidence, who some have said was delusional, had violated anyone's civil rights or abused any children. The investigation into the weapons violation continued. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So they couldn't get him on one thing, so they get him on another thing. So the Bureau of ATF pursued the allegations he was stockpiling weapons and explosives. According to the ATF, the Bureau found 136 firearms, including, 700 plus magazines, 200,000 rounds, various ammo, 110 upper and lower receivers, grenade launcher attachments, 400 plus empty M31 rifle grenades. So they basically went in there and slaughtered these people, the U.S. government. So, but whatever, right? Let's see here. Lockheed Martin awarded $26 million contract to develop laser for fighter jet. The U.S. has spent $5.6 trillion on wars since 9/11. Washington has expended a whopping $5.6 trillion on wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Pakistan since 2001, according to a new study. The figure is more than 3 times what the Pentagon has claimed. Las Vegas self-driving shuttle crashes after less than 2 hours on the road. Cops raid music fans flat after his Alexa Amazon Echo device holds a party on its own while he was out. Music fan has been left with a huge bill after his voice-operated Amazon Echo device threw a house party while he was away. Cops were forced to break into Oliver Habstro's flat in Hamburg, Germany, after neighbors complained about deafening music blasting from the inside, but found the apartment empty. Big data meets Big Brother as China moves to rate its citizens. On June 14th, 2014, the State Council of China published an ominous-sounding document called Planning Outline for the Construction of a Social Credit System. In the way of Chinese policy documents, it was a lengthy and rather dry affair, but it contained a radical idea. What if there was a national trust score that rated the kind of citizen you were? Priti Patel, tool of the Zionist lobby, resigns. November 9th, 2017. A British minister of Hindu heritage was fired after it emerged that she secretly met Israeli officials in Israel and elsewhere without informing the Foreign Office. Delaware considers letting students decide race, gender without parents' permission. British arms sales to Saudi Arabia jumped 500% as coalition seals off Yemen borders. They're just murdering people. EPA approves bacteria-infected insects to kill mosquitoes. Let's see what we got here. And of course, Donna Brazil dedicates book to Patriot Seth Rich. Plate by plate, bridge and tunnel surveillance cameras are spying on everyone. Scientific study shows decades-old police training responsible for thousands of unnecessary deaths. How to profit from $6 trillion a year cybercrime threat. They'll show you how. Trump drafting executive order to kill Obamacare's individual mandate after having previously cut so-called cost reduction subsidies. Let's see. And the marketing budget for Obamacare. Trump is now reportedly ready to also repeal the legislation's controversial individual mandate, which taxes people who choose to forego the health insurance. According to the Washington Examiner, an executive order has already been drafted to scrap the mandate, but has not yet been executed, only due to ongoing GOP debates over whether or not to include the repeal in the pending tax bill. What do we know about the murderer in Texas who killed 26 people? The man identified as Devin Patrick Kelly, it's always the middle name as well, has gunned down 26 people, injured 20 more in the attack at the church before he was found dead in his car. Here is what we know about the suspected attacker. Speculation has been rife in the media about the identity of the man behind the largest mass shooting next to Waco in Texas history, and described by Governor Greg Abbott. While the police have yet to officially identify the perpetrator, some U.S. media has already come up with the name of Devin Kelly, citing law enforcement sources close to the investigation. The gunman behind the attack, a resident of New Braunfels, a city near San Antonio. Wilson County Sheriff Joe Tackett told local ABC affiliate, as it appears from his Facebook account since taken down, he was a fan of guns, with his cover photo showing an assault rifle purported screenshots of his Facebook page, whose authenticity cannot be immediately confirmed, appear to feature an anti-fascist action banner, which sparked speculation online about his ties to left-wing scene. Since the screenshot was first circulated, a number of reports and fact-checking media have debunked it as a doctored image spread by right-wing activists. No official information about Kelly's possible affiliation with any group or political movement has been made available. A LinkedIn page purportedly belonging to Kelly states that after he graduated from high school in 2009, he joined the U.S. Air Force. CBS reported that Kelly served from 2010 to 2014 when he was dishonorably discharged. You think they'd elaborate on what it was about? There's more over there. Blacklisted news. That is, what is it? The Free Thought Project. Alrighty. Israel begins largest ever aerial military drill as Saudis consider missile strike act of war. Today, Israel kicked off the largest coined Blue Flag 2017. Air forces from 9 countries with about 50 planes are now starting to drill in the most southern region of the country, utilizing Yuvda Air Base in Israel. Teams from India, United States, Greece, Poland, France, Italy, Germany will be flying over 300 sorties simulating real war. Senator Rand Paul's injuries are more severe than initially thought. His neighbor just freaking kicked his ass. I mean, you know, of all people, the Pauls, again, they're not, again, part of the, you know, being fifth and sixth cousin to Obama. Cat's kind of out of the bag on Washington already. But, you know, it's a lot of things that I think he wants to do that are right, and he speaks out about it. So if he means it, and it seems like he does, I mean, Ron Paul seems to be about, you know, personal liberty, whether it be prostitution or drugs or whatever, that the federal government should be staying out of that. But see, here's the thing. Even if they did step aside, there's too much money. There's too much money in this you know, drug, you know, this drug war, this telling people what they can do with their bodies, whether it's, you know, smoking marijuana or a woman going out and saying, I'm just gonna sell myself for money. You know, she should be able to do that, or he should be able to do that. There's no, you know, whatever these people think that they're doing, infringing on people's rights. You know, I just think that they try to keep people away from marijuana. They try to keep people away from, you know, they say, well, you can't be a prostitute, the oldest profession, right? And so I just think that, you know, more drugs and more fornication I think that's one of the reasons why they just kind of zapped the whole a lot of these things in our society, because they just don't want people to be able to they don't want people to be able to be free to do a lot of these things, because if they could do these things more frequently, they wanted to just engage in whatever, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, right? Then it should be something that people should just be left the fuck alone, as long as they're not hurting anybody or stealing from someone. Somebody wants to go out and spend, $500 for a, what do they call it now? What do they call it? Escorts or whatever. Get it done. Whatever. It's just one of those things, man. Just do whatever it is that you want to do, as long as it's not hurting nobody. As long as nobody getting hurt nowhere, no how, and junk. So, not much reporting going on with, Trump being over there in the Asian theater. A lot of it is, of course, if he talked to Putin, then that affirms and confirms the Russian conspiracy. Look at how they're talking to each other like they're buddy, like they've known each other forever. Know what I'm saying? So it's just more bullshit. More BS. So listen, UCY.tv is a platform for free speech and a lot of really, really good programs, a lot of good people, giving their time. You got Jules with Before the First Cup and everything that she does to keep this platform moving forward. It takes its toll on people to, just constantly, have a stress or pressure situation. So think about making a tiny donation to UCY this holiday season. $5 or $10 here and there to support the ongoing alternative media, the real news. People, even if people aren't completely over the target, I think overall they just want to see the world change for better. They want to see the world move in the right direction. Again, even if they don't have, even if they haven't figured out all these different levels of what's going on, support UCY. Stay tuned for Rock the Boat with our friend Ron, and Clint's going to be on later today, and Hal's going to be on later today. So stay tuned to UCY.tv. Tell people about it. Tell your friends about it. And hopefully you've been entertained over the last 2 hours here, and let it continue with Ron and Rock the Boat. And stay tuned for Hal and Clint and all the other amazing programming here on UCY.tv. So for Cold Reality Radio, this is Shali Lama. Have a great day.
There is only one holy
holistic system of systems.
I will MK Ultra ya, put the MK scope on ya. If the MK hits you, it's guaranteed to open ya. The 57mm Mark 110, 220 rounds a minute, try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list, that's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum, some perform shocking on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenary for the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them. They want to sell uranium to Iran that's enriched. That's a bitch. Now we gotta teach a lesson to them.